The time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Chandima Veerakorn. Headlines. The President says that he is not hesitant to take necessary measures to strengthen the national security and the fundamental rights of the people. Cabinet approves the State Entrepreneur Debt Restructuring Programme. Measures will be taken to import 25,000 metric tons of 23 Yala season. Danno Budunge Sri Dharmaskanda song has been declared as a national heritage. On news overseas, Kiev comes under heavy missile and drone attack. Local stories in detail. The President has made a statement to the Cabinet that he is not hesitant to take necessary measures to strengthen the national security and the fundamental rights of the people. A favourable atmosphere has been created in the country, safeguarding the peace and fundamental rights without violence when compared to the past period which prevailed in the country. The President has also pointed out that measures have been taken to safeguard the Constitution. Necessary advice has been given to the relevant defence sectors to take precautionary measures to prevent any instance of breaching these rights. Meanwhile, Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that the President has informed the Cabinet to implement law and order sternly against the groups who attempt to create unrest among religions and ethnic groups. He made these remarks at the Cabinet media briefing held today. The government has decided to take future measures on the State Entrepreneurs Debt Restructuring Programme. A policy in this regard has already been prepared. State Restructuring Unit has been established according to the Cabinet approval. The Cabinet of Ministers today approved an extension of the programme under which Sri Lankan migrant workers are allowed to import four-wheeled electric vehicles. Accordingly, although it was initially decided to allow migrant workers to import electric vehicles equivalent to 50% of the value of remittances they have transmitted to Sri Lanka through official channels from the 1st of May 2022 to 31st of December 2022, this time period has now been extended until the 23rd of September this year. The Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval for the import of 25,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer for the 2023 Yala season, the Government Information Department reported. In concern with the amounts of urea fertilizer available in both the state fertilizer companies and also within the private sector, it has reportedly been identified that around 25,000 metric tons of urea is required to be imported for the 2023 Yala season. Accordingly, the Cabinet approval has been granted to import 60% of the relevant urea amount by the Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited and 40% of that amount by the Colombo Commercial Fertilizers Limited. The relevant proposal was presented to the Cabinet by the Minister of Agriculture, Mahinda Amravira. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Continuing with local stories, the Ministry of Agriculture will not provide existing stock of rice for animal food until the harvest of the Yala season is received. This has been revealed at a discussion held with the Minister, Mahinda Amravira, at the Ministry yesterday. The maize harvest in the country was dropped up to 90,000 metric tons in 2021 with a ban of importing chemical fertilizer. Therefore, there was a shortage in the production of maize needed for animal food in the year 2022. As a result, the government had to import 200,000 metric tons of maize, but the overall maize requirement in the country is 500,000 metric tons. To conclude the local news, the headlines again. The President says that he is not hesitant to take necessary measures to strengthen the national security and the fundamental rights of the people. Cabinet approves the State Entrepreneur Debt Restructuring Programme. Measures will be taken to import 25,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer for the 2023 Yala season. Danno Budunge Sri Dharmaskanda song has been declared as a national heritage. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
And on the main news story, Danno Budunge Sri Dharmaskanda song has been declared as a national heritage. The cabinet approval has been received to the proposal submitted by Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena as the Minister of Public Administration and Home Affairs in this regard. The government has taken this decision considering this song has affected the national enjoyment and ideology since more than centuries continuously. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Moving on to Watchlight, Director of the National Dengue Control Unit, Dr. Nalin Aryaratna, said yesterday that the number of dengue cases reported from the Kandy, Kurunegala, Kagala, Puttalam and Trincomalee districts have compared to last year. He also stated that with the coming monsoon, the number of people infected with dengue may increase further. He said that so far 33,400 dengue-infected people have been reported and 20 deaths have been reported. Meanwhile, during inspections of possible dengue breeding sites, 1,308 people have been issued red notices in the Colombo district, authorities said. That ends Watchlight. Moving on to the world news, the headlines. Kyiv comes under heavy missile and drone attack. New Zealand hostile fire, at least 6 dead and more missing in Wellington. Thailand elections move forward, looks to make history. The Ukrainian capital, Kyiv, has been subjected to a heavy air attack by Russia, the 8th time this month, leaving 3 people injured. In video on social media, air defense systems can be seen shooting down missiles over the city. Government messages warned people to keep away from windows as debris from intercepted missiles fell from the sky. City Mayor Vitaly Klitschko said some rocket debris had fallen in central districts, including on the city's zoo. The complex attack, which used both drones and missiles, was described as being exceptional in its density by one Kyiv official. At least 6 people have died and others remain unaccounted for following a fire in a hostel, New Zealand's Prime Minister has told local media. Emergency services were called to the 4-story Lawfus Lodge hostel in Wellington just after last midnight. Dozens were rescued from the building, but police said a number of people remained unaccounted for. Prime Minister Chris Hipkins warned the number of dead was likely to increase. Police added that they could not be more specific on the number of deaths until they could access the building. There could only be one place for Thailand's youngest and most progressive party to celebrate its astonishing success in the election. Move Forward and its supporters held their victory rally next to the Art Deco edifice known as Democracy Monument. Situated right in the middle of the grandest boulevard running through Bangkok's historic Royal Quarter, it has long been a symbol of the country's frustrated democratic hopes and the difficult relationship between those hopes and the exalted status of the monarchy. To end the world news, the headlines again. Kyiv comes under heavy missile and drone attack. New Zealand hostile fire, at least 6 dead and more missing in Wellington. Thailand elections move forward, looks to make history. That ends World News.
Development News.
Taking a look at the development news, Tahalpitiya Gama Idakaral Vava will be renovated. The government has spent 2 million rupees. Water supply will be provided to 350 acres of paddy land for the Yala and Maha-season cultivations. The project is being initiated by the Department of Irrigation. That ends the development news. Moving on to sports. Afghanistan Cricket Board Selection Committee today finalised a 15-member squad for the 3-match ODI series against Sri Lanka, which will be played from 2nd to the 7th of June in Hambantota. Fast bowling all-rounder Abdul Rahman has been added to the 15-man squad, whereas Shahidullah Kamal, Yamin Ahmadzai, Zia Rahman Akbar and Gulbadin Naib, who were part of the previous ODI tour to Sri Lanka, are now part of the reserves for this tour. That ends sports news.
Go ekak thiyana youth eකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න friendship එක මෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
And on the business news, a program to promote Kittul-related products on commercial level will be implemented. The program will be initiated by the Kittul Development Board. 2.7 million rupees will be spent for the development of this program. That ends the business news.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
Go ekak thiyana youth එකට life එකේ change එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න ඇස් වහගෙන දැකපු හීන හැබැ කරන්න youth එකට නියමෙට set වෙන්න.
The all-new NSB Ithru Mithru account, NSB IM, a plan for your dream.
Economic news, courtesy of LONC Finance, is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 goals at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall Gold Award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking.
And on economic news, the Department of Export Agriculture says that the prices of ginger has been increased in the market rapidly. Currently, a kilogram of ginger is being sold at 1,000 rupees. It has been reported that a retail price of a kilo of ginger is sold at nearly 2,000 rupees. This situation can continue until the month of September. That ends economic news.
LONC Finance is taking the power of innovation to the next level, winning 5 goals at the Technovation Awards 2022, leading the digital revolution with cutting-edge interbanking digital payments. LONC Finance claims the overall Gold Award, whilst also claiming an extraordinary victory in digital banking. LONC Finance will continue to innovate with the generation digitalization of financial services, delivering a superior customer experience.
Weather report.
And finally, we take a look at the weather report. The Meteorology Department says several spells of showers will occur in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and northwestern provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts. Mainly fair weather will prevail elsewhere. Fairly strong winds, about 30 to 40 kilometers per hour, can be expected at times over northern, north central and eastern provinces. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines again. The President says that he is not hesitant to take necessary measures to strengthen the national security and the fundamental rights of the people. Cabinet approves the State Entrepreneur Debt Restructuring Programme. Measures will be taken to import 25,000 metric tons of urea fertilizer for the 2023 Yala season. Danno Budunge Sri Dharmaskanda song has been declared as a national heritage. And on news overseas, Kiev comes under heavy missile and drone attack. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.